NordVPN.com/Fightful makes my browsing experience better. Way better than yours if you don't use it. Why? Because I can block online trackers. I can block annoying pop-up ads and malware. I can browse safely, securely, wherever I am, even if I'm right here on all my devices. This laptop, actually this is a desktop. What am I saying? But this laptop right here, this phone right here, that router over there, the TV over there, all with NordVPN.com/Fightful. You can also save on pay-per-views. Maybe you want to check out AEW without commercials. Maybe you miss the old WWE network. Maybe you want to buy a big UFC pay-per-view with an overseas service at a much more affordable rate. NordVPN.com/Fightful not only has you covered, but when you get one of their plans, you're effectively going to save yourself money. And I'm going to save you some more. 4 months free on top of that deal and a 30-day money-back guarantee. NordVPN.com/Fightful.
Hello, everybody. I am with Mariah May of Club Venus and, of course, of STARDOM. Of course, I'm Scott Edwards. I should introduce myself as well. But I'm very happy to have Mariah here today. And thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing good. I mean, it's not too late for me. It's nice, good time for you, I hope. So this should be a lot of fun. Right in the middle of the day. So I'm sure that's great. But you've been making your mark recently. I think some would agree. Over in STARDOM. I cover Joshi here at Fightful, and I was like, okay, well, this is the top interview to get right now. Not only because I don't, need an interpreter to do it, because I've done some of those, but so many people are excited about Club Venus worldwide, and I was like, okay, well, this is the one. So how have you felt? I'm sure you felt that excitement from a lot of people.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, it's been such a good reception. I felt a lot of things the past month. This has been my dream for so many years to come to Japan, to come to STARDOM. So I'm kind of processing that excitement, but then you're also we've got a job to do. We've got to make Club Venus the best. But people love it. People love Club Venus. But people didn't know what to expect at first, and the big storyline going into it. So people weren't sure what they were going to get and what it would be like. And we're the first we've had Tekla in STARDOM, but we're the first foreign girls since the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so I think people were kind of what's it going to be like? And we were we're going to make this so good. And people love it. So we're just kind of embracing what they're putting out for us. And we're just, going for it.
Yeah, I think the uncertainty was definitely there for a lot of people, but you girls have killed it. I think in this first month. I know Zaya just had to head back right now, and she'll be back soon enough, I'm sure, as you guys await the results of Triangle Derby. But you did bring up that you and Zaya are the first international talents to come over since the pandemic, and you're actually the first brand new talent, because Zaya has been over before. So how does that feel to you? Because Alpha Female has also been over, Tekla, like you said, and Zaya, but you're the first new talent. How does that feel?
I mean, it's a big honor. Like I said, I wanted to do STARDOM for a really long time. When I started wrestling, I started trying to watch more and more different wrestling. And I remember when I found STARDOM, I was like, this is where I need to be. Yeah. This is how I need to wrestle. And, you're watching it and you're trying to learn that style, but obviously it's different trying to do it, in the UK, in Europe. And I'm like, I need to go there. I need to train there. I need to wrestle these people. They're the best wrestlers in the world.
Yeah.
And, I've wanted it for so long. And then the pandemic happened. I was still really, really new. And the pandemic happened. And I was like, so far away from it. And then after the pandemic, that was my number one thing. I was I need to go to STARDOM. And I just ask everyone how, I, obviously was tag partners with Zoe, who's been to STARDOM quite a bit. And, asking so many different people I know, how can I get to Japan? How can I get to STARDOM? And everyone was I'm not sure because of the pandemic. And, I've had conversations that we want to bring you over, can't because the lockdowns and all the different rules. And it just felt so far away, but I held on to it. I was like, I'm going to get there. And then it kind of unexpectedly happened. They were offered a tour, and I was like, it happened at a time, I think, when I needed it. Because I really was looking for that thing in wrestling, and then it happened. And I was like, I didn't want to believe it until I literally stepped off the plane. is how uncertain I felt about everything, just because like of how, you know, the whole pandemic threw everything up, and the rules always change and every country is so different. And so I was like, until I step off that plane, like my visa's in my hand, I step off that plane, I'm not going to get excited, because I just felt like it wasn't real.
I think, as you know, as anyone that heads over there for the first time, you know, you hear all these stories. It's like, wow, I'm here, and that's kind of you kind of led me right there. So the question is like, when was the moment you were like, oh my gosh, I'm not only in Stardom, I'm here in Japan? Was it like when you wrestled Cork and Hall for the first time? Was it when you walked out with Mina for the first time?
So I remember the exact moment. It was actually my first match. Because when I walked out with Mina, like, I think I just felt like, you know, when you're so overwhelmed, you don't know what to feel like. Even when I came back, and because I didn't have any like Wi-Fi at that time, I just got to Japan and sorted everything out. And I remember getting back to the hotel that night, and I had like so many messages and all this amazing stuff. And I was like, I can't even read that right now. Like, I just hadn't absorbed it. And I think it's almost because I was like, I need to wrestle. Like, I need to have a match. And then I remember like my first show, my first match, we do, you know, you do like your tech rehearsals. And it was such an amazing, because it was for the Triangle Derby, and it was like the big stage. And I remember standing there and I was like crying. Like, just, and I was trying not to show anyone. I was crying. I mean, they're all so sweet. I was trying not to show anyone I was crying, because I realized I looked like a weirdo. But like, I just remember looking out like, when did this happen? Like, how did this happen for me? Like, you know, when you want something for so long, and then it's so big. Stardom is huge, and it's really blown up recently too, and just their production and everything. And I was just stood on like, you know, the really like behind the screen when the screen opened, just crying.
Oh yeah, because that's when they did the introduction with the special screen.
Club Venus, and everyone's like cute, and I'm just like.
Well, you know, I think that's the funny thing about, you know, with Stardom in the pandemic, is that most companies suffered or took a hit. They just went up and up and up and up and up.
Better, right? Yeah.
Right. It's been like a rocket, and it's been fun to watch. And I think that's why it's so exciting that, you know, someone like yourself gets to go over there, because now we bring the international side into it, and it changes all that. So for you, you know, just bring us through that first match. You know, that night, was it like once you got in the ring and got to, you know, actually wrestle, it was like, all right, here we go? Or was it still like crying? And was it like, yeah, I wasn't prepared. All right.
Just crying in the ring.
You didn't cry. I watched the pay-per-view live. You weren't crying in the ring, so
no, I was good. I was good. I think it was just that moment. Like, there's something about as well, like, you know, like music and sound and everything that like makes you well up. So I think once I did that, I was like, okay, breathe. And then almost, I feel like my first couple of matches, in a weird way, like I wasn't not jet lagged, but I hadn't like mentally settled yet, which I feel like was good, because if I was like settled, I would have been so nervous. Because in the UK, like whenever I had a match the night before, I feel sick. Whereas here, I wasn't getting that. And I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's because I just didn't even feel like anything was real, but I was like running with that, because I don't need to be like sick to my stomach with nerves. But yeah, no, like the first match, I was fine. I think the first time I got nervous was like when we actually went away on tour, because like I think I'd settled in, and I was like, why am I suddenly nervous? Like, you've literally done this before. But yeah, no, that first match, that whole day was just like, oh. But yeah, I actually surprisingly felt like okay. And then once I got like I was like ready to tag in, I was just like watching Mina like kill it. I was like, yes, I'm gonna go now. Like, I'm gonna just felt like hyped up. You got to get yourself really pumped up, because the girls are really intense here, and you've got to be on that level, which is where I want to be. So I was just like hyped. I was just ready for it.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I'm sure having Mina there really calms you down a lot too, right? I know. I'm not. Yeah, I don't have the full backstory. That's very true. I'm sure. You know, I'm not sure how long you've known each other, but it seems like you three have meshed so perfectly, whether it's on screen or on the little videos we get to see of Mina bring you guys around Japan. So let's talk about Mina. What has she meant to you so far in this journey?
Oh, Mina-san. She's just the best. Like, I was saying to Zaya before Zaya left, I said I couldn't have thought of a better way to come to Stardom or come to Japan, because like, it's not just you're coming to Stardom, it's a new company and everything for me, but it's also a new life. It's like, you know, a whole new country, different language, and we've been like teaching me Japanese as well. But she's just amazing. Like, she's been so helpful with everything. It's almost like having like a little, you know, like fairy godmother almost. Like, more like though, because like just anything you need, you could just talk to her and she'll give you advice, and she's always there to teach you and to help you. And we just all get on so well. Like, we genuinely off camera, I mean, sometimes we follow us around with little cameras, but off camera we just laugh. Like, we're just all silly. Like, obviously Zaya and I were friends before we came to Japan, and I feel like with Mina it's just that same sort of friendship. We're just fun, and we work hard, we play hard, and you know, I feel like we've all got good like fiery personalities too, and we just mesh really well. But she's a gem. Like, she's so lovely and she's so helpful. So yeah, she's cool.
Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed this as well, but it seems like every group in Stardom, no matter if you have been on screen or wrestling together for like one day or, you know, for some many days, every group seems to mesh perfectly, oddly enough. And you know, things happen where, you know, Momo may turn on Queen's Quest and stuff like that, but overall it seems like each group has a bond. And Club Venus, from the start, from that first entrance where, you know, Mina's has the mask over her face, and you know, you both are walking on the side, it's like, oh, this is like, you guys know, like, this is it. This is the trio that not only is going to bring Mina to the top, which of course is part of the story that we're seeing here, which is very exciting, but it'll bring you guys too. And you know, what has it been like to in-ring wise, you know, connect? Because that's a whole different ballgame, right? Connecting on a personal note is one thing, but working together in the ring and against all sorts of opponents, like you said, who are very different, very physical, very intense. How has that been?
I mean, that's the style I like. That's the style I've always wanted to do, or try to do as far as you can, but it takes two to kind of do it. But it's been very cool. Like, for me, like Mina and I, like, we instantly had just a chemistry. Like, I know Zara and I have chemistry. We've wrestled each other a lot.
Sure.
But Mina and I, we instantly just had like this chemistry. Like, the minute we just did something, I was like, okay, like, we're just on the same page. And we, like, you know, we have good minds about the sort of things we want to do and achieve, and we like a lot of the same like wrestlers and stuff, and we're inspired by a lot of the same people. And then in terms of just like me and getting in there with people, it's like, these are people I've literally watched. And I remember it was like during lockdown, I'd only wrestled for like a year, and then we went into lockdown, and I was like, I want to up my game. Like, I wasn't happy with the training I was getting. I wasn't happy with the matches I was having or what I was bringing. And I remember watching Stardom and thinking, okay, like, how can I make what they're doing and make it mine? Like, how can I like the formulas they're doing, the intensity, you know, the speed of it all, and trying to like implement that into my work. So I've been like gunning for this for a really long time. And, you know, I got to get in with Starlight Kid, and we got to play around a little bit. And I feel like there's a lot of women. I always ask, who's your dream match? And I'm like, everyone. Like, there's so many people I want to have singles with, tags with, so many different matches I want to do, championships I want to go for. But it's honestly, it just feels right. Like, I literally remember texting my mom, because she's like, how's Japan? And I was like, I feel like it's home, because I've wanted this for so long. And then it actually is exactly what I thought it would be. It's just hard work. It's intensity. That's the style I like. Like, you know, I want to like hit hard, be hit hard, and like go, you know, intense. And so, yeah, I'm very happy to be here. And I think it's going to be a really exciting year for sure.
I think so. And you bring up dream matches. I'm not going to ask you, because you kind of gave the idea everyone, but I will ask you if you could pick one singles match to have in the coming month or so, and then tag team match, like, who would those opponents be?
In the next month,
Yes.
I want a singles with Starlight Kid.
Okay.
But I also want one
High speed?
Maybe.
Oh. Is that a challenge for
I feel like we got
Azumi?
to scratch the surface a little bit. So, and then a tag. I obviously want to tag with Mina, because Mina and I haven't done just a tag.
Right.
Oh, I want to say, but I feel like, I mean, we should really, I mean, Tam and Natsboy would be.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be exciting, right? But
I think
don't know,
so. Will you bring up Tam and Natsupoi, and that'll bring me to my next question. You and Mina will be teaming with Waka Tsukiyama against Tam, Natsupoi, and Saki in a little Cosmic Angels match. I've noticed Waka's getting, well, she's always been close with Mina, but close with you and Zaya as well. So how does it feel to, kind of be picked by Waka to be in that match and help her get that win?
I mean, it's so cool. I love Waka so much. She's a gem too. She speaks very good English.
Some say the Queen of New York. Because she's of course from New York.
But yeah, no, it's a really good feeling, and I'm very excited to be a part of it. I know there's a lot of history and a lot that I'm walking into, because obviously, like you say, it's my first time being here, and there's a lot between all of these women. So I'm interested to see how everything's going to play out. But for me, I'm just going to do my best and do my best for Mina or Club Venus, obviously. But it's definitely going to be an interesting one.
I think so too. It's always interesting. I always say when, factions go head to head, it's always just a little bit different, a little more intense. There's just something about that in Stardom that's always great to see. All right, my next question, and I was going through your Twitter feed the other day when I was coming up with questions. I saw this great video you have pinned at the very top. It's on your Twitter of why you wrestle. Can you tell us a bit about that video and, of course, why you wrestle, to get to a place like Stardom? But there was a lot of confidence, and rightfully so, in that video that I'd love everyone to definitely go check out. That's at Mariah May X on Twitter.
Yeah, go and check it out before you listen to the next part of this, because I'm going to spoil it. So I set it up to be super emotional. Like, why do I wrestle? Because obviously I've loved wrestling since I was a kid. I always wanted to be a wrestler. But then I was like, you know what? That's so played out. Yeah. And I feel like as well, especially because I come from the UK and the scene's pretty like gritty. And if you don't wear, I'm in black right now, but like my wrestling gear is pink and I'm super glamorous and stuff. And I feel like I never fit in, and I've also been like judged a lot because of the way that I look, and like, I'm blonde and little Barbie doll, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes people don't give you a chance, or they try to write you off and kind of take away from your hard work. And I was like, you know what, instead of trying to like prove myself to people who will never give me a chance, why don't I just agree with them? Like, I am whatever you say I am. So I did this whole thing like, well, it's just easy for me. Like, I get handed everything because I'm pretty, because I'm rich, because I'm famous. I get this, this, and this. I mean, the actual truth is the total opposite. Like, it's been a lot of hard work and struggle. But I just thought it would be cool to kind of like throw it back in the face of like, yeah, you're right. Like, yeah, things do hate me. You're right to hate me. Like, yeah, I'm handed over your favorite.
That's awesome.
But, so that was kind of the thought process behind that. And the whole promo too, I just wanted to make something where when people would discover me, they would get like a taste of my character and a little bit about me. And it was also just to try and get like a little bit of opportunity, because that's always like been the struggle. That's why when I came to Stardom, I was like, until I stepped foot on Japanese ground, I'm not going to believe this, because it's been really tough to try and get opportunity. I think a whole number of things play into that, but just trying to get wrestling and get better and travel and do things. So I was always, when I was in the UK, trying to think like, how can I get to the next point? How can I get more matches? How can I travel? How can I be seen? And I did this promo and I was like, let me just sell Mariah May and like who that is. So go and watch the promo.
I think it did perfectly. That was the funny thing, because that's the type of video I think a lot of people hopefully saw before or once you debuted. It's like, all right, let me understand who Mariah May is. But you talk about promos, and promos are very interesting in Japan, right? You're not always cutting them, but Club Venus kind of is right at the beginning of matches. Whose idea was it? Was it Mina's?
Yeah,
to introduce everyone. It's awesome.
To introduce everyone. I've introduced us. Yes. And then Mina sometimes will say something after the match, because obviously she speaks Japanese and English. So she has the best of both worlds. So I'm trying to learn Japanese, because my goal for the end of the year is to cut a promo in Japanese. But to cut a promo like how I would cut a promo, not just like a watered down one. Pretty ambitious, but I've got like good people around me to help me. But that was Mina's idea, which I love, because I feel like it just kind of sets Club Venus apart. Like, we're the sassy, fiery, charismatic, bold stable. And like, you know, it kind of sets us apart because we introduce ourselves, don't introduce us.
It's perfect. It's like the, you know, how Paul Heyman introduces
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar, or how Gideon Gray introduces United Empire. It's kind of like a
Yeah.
little bit of those, but
Yeah.
I like that you guys are trading back and forth. You talked about trying to learn Japanese, and I think that also comes with trying to learn the style of Stardom at the same time, and you've talked about that as well. But has that been a challenge, or more of like something you're just so excited to do each and every time, whether you're wrestling or you're spending your time off on days? Like, is that just like, is that what you're doing the whole time, getting used to style, also
Yeah.
learning?
Yeah, so in terms of wrestling, so far, I mean, obviously I've been doing trios matches, so I haven't had a singles yet. And I've just sort of started with training too. So far it hasn't been a massive shock to the system. I think that's because I watched a lot of Stardom, and
Yeah.
it's been what I've been trying to train with. And like when I've been training, it's stuff I've been showing, and I'm like, I want to do this. How can I like, what sort of drills do I need to do? How can I get, you know, cardio ring wise to that level? So that hasn't felt like too much of a shock to the system. It's been a more conscious thing. Like literally sometimes I'll be on the apron. I'm like, okay, I need to come in like with that fire, like they are. Like I need to come in like that. And, you know, like I'll get feedback from them, and then I'll watch, and, you know, like there's been stuff like that, but that hasn't been like a shock to the system or anything like that. That's kind of been very, I think, natural, which has been cool. And I'm definitely enjoying it. The language, I am enjoying it. And then some days I'm like, oh, like it's so difficult. So like, we haven't had many days off. So what I try to do is like every night before bed, like try and learn like a couple of words, like key things that I'll need. But it's been tough because January's been like jam packed. Like January was a crazy month. We had so many pay-per-views and travel days and press conferences and meet and greets and training and everything. And then also we had just moved. So we just moved into the apartment and trying to get everything sorted. So that was hectic. So that's why I just thought, you know what, every night, just a little bit. So some days I'm like excited, and then other days it's like homework. Like, you know, when you were like at school and you had to do homework before bed, that's how it feels. But yeah, that's on the days when it's so busy and I'm like, I just want to sleep.
Yeah, of course, it's an extra busy week this week, pay-per-view week. You're entering in the, I call it the Mayu Iwatani roulette, because, you know, she's kind of the one that was like, hey, let's just do this crazy match. And I was like, I remember seeing the subtitles after the fact. I was like, oh, all right, that's a lot. But that's really your first chance to be a singles wrestler now. So are you looking forward to it, and kind of, you know, getting a chance to go head to head with hopefully a number of people determined on your success?
I was gonna say, hopefully a lot of people. No, yeah, I'm definitely really excited for it. I mean, it's a crazy match to wrap your head around for a start. I was like, well, this is like a hell of a singles match to debut with. I'm really, really looking forward to it. And there's a lot of women in there that I would be excited to get in with too. And also Mina's in it. So very interesting, isn't it? So yeah, so it's a very interesting match, and it's going to be a really cool singles debut. So I'm very excited. I've been training really hard since I got here. So yeah, hopefully that carries through, and hopefully I win.
Yeah, exactly. We're all rooting for you, of course. Here at Fightful and Beyond.
Either one.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well,
maybe more.
So my question for you is, besides Mina Shirakawa, because that would be cheating, what are some of your favorites in Stardom before you got over? And has that kind of driven you to like, oh, I want to wrestle her? You know, maybe like a Shuri kick to the back might be a wake up call, obviously, but it's like, as someone that just watches them from afar and says, that can't feel good at all. Is there anybody that's like,
so many people? I mean, I've always, for last year, like I was really following Julia. Like I was just watching, I was just in awe of like her whole year. Like that's a year to have, you know, just every match, just like she just brought something different, and that really inspired me. I was just like, she's just going for it. Like she just the look and the storyline and everything like that. So I was really following Julia, and I actually, when I came, she won the red belt, which was really cool because I felt like I was there for that, like,
awesome,
you know, that finish point for her. So she's a dream match. I don't want to wrestle her right now because I don't think I'm ready to wrestle her yet, you know, especially now that she's champ. So I feel like there's a little bit of time that I want to take to improve and figure things out. But she's definitely, like, for me, one of the final bosses. There's a few final bosses.
She has that feel. I was gonna say, Stardom has a few of those.
To the back. I'm ready for it. But, you know, like, I think, there's definitely a few girls that I want to wrestle, but I'm like, I'm not there yet. That's kind of my goal, like, is to work. So I feel like I can go toe to toe with them. And also just, you know, work up Stardom. You know, I'm in Club Venus with Mina, which is, you know, with the best team, but like, I'm new and, you know, I'm standing at the bottom here. So I want to, like, work my way up into that. But yeah, Julia's definitely, like, very fascinating to me. So it'd be interesting.
I think everyone could agree that would be a great one to watch, you know, when you're ready, of course, but working your way up, that'll be fun to watch you do. And I guess that brings the question, should we expect to see you in Stardom beyond, you know, next month and the month after that and so on?
I will be in Stardom for a very long time. So you can expect me to be here.
That's great. I think everyone's very excited to hear that. Which brings me, we have a few more questions here. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Like I said, big pay-per-view week. But you use the Tombstone Pile Driver as your finisher, of course, called the Happily Ever After, which is a great name, and it's a big, important move in pro wrestling overall. You know, many people know that The Undertaker does it, but over in Japan, Mayu Iwatani does it, Kazuchika Okada does it, so it's like top of the top, but this is your finisher. What made you choose that as, you know, the one?
Choosing a finisher is the hardest part of wrestling. I don't care what anyone says, like the bumps, the drills, the training, the travel. No, picking a finisher as that, like, defining endpoint that suits you is so hard. And in the UK, I really struggled to pick something. And also, like, a lot of girls, you know, didn't know how to take certain things or didn't, you know, want to, blah, blah, blah. Like, a lot of different factors came into it, and just finding that right thing. And then when I knew I was coming to Stardom, obviously I was training like twice a week anyway, but like, I upped it and I wanted to redefine my moveset and just fine tune things and work on it. And I was like, I want a different finish. Like, I love the pedigree, but I was like, I want a different finish. And I was looking at the girls and I'm like, I'm very tall. Like, I'm the tallest woman. So I was like, I need something that shows that off. Whereas in Europe and America, I'm like, I'm tall, but I'm not going to be like the Undertaker of the room. You know, so I was like, what can I do that will kind of set me apart and really showcase, like, I've got really long legs and my height and my power. And then I was like, I tried a few different things. I was like, what about a tombstone? And I've got a few variations of it, which you might see in some of my singles matches. But yeah, I tried it and I was like, you know what? This is the one. And everyone online was like, yo, what? When did you start doing this? But yeah, no, it's a real figuring out, like, your moveset, especially your finisher, is tough. But I just thought, given the size of the other girls and my height, I had to do something about that. So happily ever after.
I think it's worked out. That's just, you know, perfect name to end the match. I remember when you first got to use it and I was like, it's perfect. It's perfect. Like, it was like one of those moves that's like, you know, some moves are perfect for wrestlers, and I think you obviously made the right choice with that one. So something really cool that happened for you is you not only had your 100th match in Japan, but you did it in the main event of a Korakuen Hall show. Like, oh my God. Like, that's the dream right there in a lot of ways. So like, how are you feeling heading into it? And now that you can look back on it, like, oh my God.
So I was like, I knew I was coming up to 100 matches at some point, and I was actually supposed to go to Pakistan just before Christmas. But when I was getting my visa, they take your passport, so I couldn't go. So I normally know what match I'm on. Like, you know when you've got your match this weekend, you know what you're on. So I kind of like, I'd lost track because there was a million and one things happening to come to. It was like Christmas, come to Japan, all the million things you have to do, and I just completely like not kept up with it. And then it was coming up to Korakuen, and I was like, is that my 100th match? And like, I went through the list and I had missed a match, and I was like, no, it's 99. And I also sent them to my friend. My friend's like, no, it's 100. And I'm like, it's 99. And they're like, it's 100. And like sent me a list. And I was like, how do you know my schedule better than me? And I was like, oh my God. And I remember going in and I was like, it's my 100th match. And everyone's like, what is your 100th match? And they're like, this is so perfect. And I was like, honestly, I couldn't have thought of like, I'm almost glad I didn't think of a dream match. Like, I'm glad that this just happened. This is like the best thing ever. Just such a special, like my first ever main event at Corrigan. And life just works out sometimes.
I'm sure it's a very short list of like that perfect, like who has done 100th match in Corrigan Hall in the main event. Like that is a stat that I think you can carry and be very confident might be just you, which is pretty awesome. Talking about Zaya now, of course, Zaya, like we said at the beginning, she's gone home for now, but I'm sure she'll be back soon enough. You know, Club Venus needs the full trio. What can you tell us a little bit about your relationship with her and how much she helped you? Because obviously she's been to not only Japan before, but Stardom, and kind of did she help you like, all right, here's what this is going to be like. It's been a long time, so Stardom's very different from the last time she's been here, but she still.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying earlier, like I couldn't have thought of a better way to come in, because obviously Mina is amazing and she speaks English too, so she can really help and she can teach you so you can help yourself. But I said it was so great to have Zaya too, because it's always great to have someone, even if we were both new, just so you're not in it alone. But it was cool to have Zaya as well, because this is like her 5th tour, I think. So although Stardom, you know, naturally things change and it's been a few years, she just, you know, coming to Japan, she's like, okay, we need to get like a little squeak card that's like a train card. This is how we get to the gym. You're going to need to take this to the gym to get like everything is different. Like you wouldn't think getting a gym membership is different, but it is. And also she knows like she's got some pretty good Japanese in her. Like she knows a decent amount. So she was helping to teach me that, and just like the things you need to know just to kind of get by easier rather than being like, oh, what's going on? So it was really, really cool to come with Zaya, and we have a great relationship. We're very good friends because we wrestled a lot. Like we did a whole run at All-Star. We did like 7 matches against each other. You know, like she's really cool. We both have the same mentality again of just like work really hard and have fun. Like, you know, you can work hard, you can play hard, and that kind of brings out the best results, because it's very intense and a lot of pressure. But if you can learn to enjoy everything, then that's the best of both worlds, really. So it was really cool to come with her, and hopefully she's back soon. We need to see what happens with the results, but
of course,
hopefully she's back soon.
Of course. I mean, it'll take some time. I didn't notice until like a week ago. I was like, oh, Club Venus is like wrapping up their tournament already. What is happening? Which was so, you know, it was so sad because you guys were you were just doing so well, but it'll be back. It'll be back. That's the exciting part. So Club Venus, I know internationally is a big fan favorite, but how has the reception been in Japan from Japanese fans?
I think it's been pretty good. I mean, the fans seem to really receive and enjoy everything.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you do like it? Like, or do you like everyone? Like, I don't know. Like, they just, you do something, you're like, that sounded great. Did you like it? Like, you just like everything. I don't know. So I think it's been pretty good. So we had a meet and greet, and the line, we couldn't even finish the line. And I think part of that is Mina's popularity, because she's been killing it. But also, like, so many people had like little Club Venus signs, or like, this woman made Club Venus earrings. So she had like a blue charm, a baby pink charm, and a dark pink charm and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my gosh. So that was a good indicator. Obviously, part of that is just Mina's rise and popularity too. But, you know, a good amount of people wanted to see Club Venus, and the reception seems good. Obviously, it's clap crowds. So it's hard. It's hard. You just being I don't know, but that changes soon. So.
Exactly. That was my next question. So dealing with clap crowds obviously is difficult for many. I think a lot of wrestlers have been very open about that. You know, people like I don't know, every wrestler that's went there compared to here in, you know, America or in England. It's a big transition. But Saturday that all changes. How much does it mean to you to be at the not only, you know, cheering crowd in Japan, but the first one Stardom's had since 2020?
So, like, for me, because obviously, I wrestle in the UK. I've toured Europe, I've toured America. So I've wrestled in front of some real big crowds.
Yeah.
And in the UK, I've some big ones. But for the most part, you're week to week. It's like not a lot of people. So the clap crowds are louder. Like for me, I'm like coming here, I'm like, this is great. It's like they're watching like a tennis match. They're like,
yeah.
And they're like, so engaged. And like when you're wrestling and people are like into your work, that's the best feeling because you're taking them on the story with you. So for me, and obviously, I understand completely where wrestlers are coming from, where they're saying it's difficult because they've had more experience on both sides of the scale, whereas I'm so new. So for me, I'm like, this is so cool, like, because they are into it. But I went to Wrestle Kingdom where they had, I think, was it part cheering or something?
It was very confusing to me.
It was, so I went to that and, especially like the main events. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. So I completely understand how if you've had a taste of that, how you would want that back. Because I was there like, oh my God, this is so amazing. Like, because they were just, the noise was so cool. So yeah, I'm excited for it to come back. I'm excited to be a part of that. And I'm excited for everyone else who's had to, do years with like clap crowds and worked so hard to kind of keep that interest there for them to get that moment more importantly than me, because I think it's going to be very special.
Oh, I think so too. I've already called it the best show of the year, probably. Like that's where I'm at. It's like, after all the work that all these wrestlers have put in, I don't think anyone deserves it more, because I think Stardom has been the longest in terms of not having cheering. I don't know that statistic, but I know they haven't had it. So,
but like you said, it's weird, right? Because in that time was when they've really,
it's wild.
To hear the reaction to it, because yeah.
It's awesome. All right, we have just a few more questions. I'll let you go. I held you longer than I told you. I'm very sorry.
That's okay. I feel bad for you because it's like late.
I'm up this time all the time working, so it's okay. But thank you. So fans have mentioned your name alongside the SWA championship, even the high speed championship, after we got to see you and Starlight Kid go head to head. So with those two titles in mind, of course, the Artist of Stardom titles in mind, tag team, Goddess, of course, what titles are you hoping to win maybe first and overall? All of them is a fair answer, of course. We'll say in the next couple months.
Well, yeah, I was going to say in the UK, I mean, I had 4.
I know you did.
I'm looking to get that kind of accessory again.
Yeah.
No, I mean, people talked a lot about SWA championship to me, and that's definitely interesting. And with foreigners, coming in more, I think that will be definitely something on my mind. I mean, I have an opportunity on Saturday to kind of get myself any championship I want. High speed, I feel like I would like to, like I said earlier, I feel like people have like a perception of me, and I'm big on like shattering that. I kind of love it when people underestimate me. So I remember with Starlight Kid, people were like, oh, maybe she should do high speed. And I'm like, so that could be interesting. Me and Mina could do the tag championships. There's so much to, like I said, I'm new and I'm at the bottom, and there's just so much I could do. But definitely the SWA championship is very interesting, and high speed are probably my 2 that I'm looking at.
High speed's the one I'm hoping for you, just because, like you said, it would be different, because a lot of the high speed wrestlers, they're shorter, they're fast. That goes without saying, but I think
but I can run as fast as you, and it only takes me 2 steps to do it.
I know. I saw you in Starlight Kid. I was in amazement of like, that was your real chance, I think, to show that side of you, which you can't do that with everyone. But you and Azumi, you and Starlight Kid, you and Natsupoi, we talked about earlier. I know Cosmic Angels, but hey, it's okay. What are your overall long-term goals for your career?
Oh, I mean, Stardom was my end goal. So now I'm like, like, like you complete Pokemon, you're like, wait, what do I do? what happens now? Like, no one ever shows you the post credits. Exactly. But yeah, I have like a lot of goals in Stardom. I mean, obviously, like we said earlier, there's a lot of people I want to wrestle, where I feel like, I've got to work to get to that point. But I want to be one of the best women's wrestlers in the world, and I feel like this is the place to do it. So I plan on being in Stardom for But like for a very long time, you know, there's obviously championships I want to win, singles matches I want to have, but from a personal perspective, there's like in my head like these like moments I want, or like these this level I want to get to, and I feel like I'm starting to climb like already in 10 trios matches. So as the year goes on, and you know, I'm having more and more matches because the schedule's so full, like this is, you know, full-time wrestling. I just want to, from a personal point of view, feel like I've reached my potential. And you know, a long time in the UK, I felt like I was training so hard, but I wasn't getting my teeth in. I wasn't getting to get those opponents and have those matches and get like pushed and pushed and pushed. So that's what I want here, and I want to be challenged and become the best. So that's why I'm here.
The best. So that's either World of Stardom Championship, Wonder of Stardom Championship, IWGP Women's Championship. I know Mercedes Moné, of course, is in the conversation for that.
What's gonna happen?
That's exciting too. Very exciting time for Stardom. It's just nonstop.
Yeah, that was
That's
crazy to me because I came out with Mina and I debuted. Obviously, didn't wrestle yet, but like, I debuted, and then we went to Wrestle Kingdom, and I watched Kyrie, and I was like, I love her. And then Mercedes comes out, and I'm like, how did we both just debut for the same company? Like, because you know, I've looked up to Mercedes for a long time too. Because I feel like too, she was one of those people who was almost pushing to, because she trains everywhere. Like she's gone to Mexico to train, she's gone to Japan to train. She loves wrestling, which I love. And I'm like, I've seen in her work always, like I see her kind of trying to push for more, because obviously it's different when you're a TV wrestler, and you know there are certain storylines to meet. You know, you're part of a TV show, so it's harder. But I always saw her like pushing just for that little bit more. You could see it in her work, and she was always one of the people when I actually left school, wanted to wrestle. I remember watching her and Charlotte, and I'm like, I want to be like Sasha Banks. Obviously now it's Mercedes, but you know, at the time I want to be like Sasha Banks, because she just pushed it that little bit. There was something about the style she did that was a nice, very agile, but still got a bit of power to it, which is kind of the style that I do. And then, she debuted like just after me, and I was like, man, am I going to wake up in a minute? Like, what's going on? Like
the never ending wake up calls of like, hello, someone gonna finally ring, but it keeps going. I was actually gonna say to you before we wrap this up of how, you know, I've heard Mercedes interviews. She had one with Stone Cold on, what is it, Peacock? That's what it's called, Once Upon a Time. And she always talked about how she wants to go to Japan. And while you are, of course, in Japan as we speak, that's kind of, I was hearing comparisons, a lot of that passion that I think you both have. So maybe that's another match to look forward to down the road. Who knows? That's
that would be a big one for me. Like, oh gosh. But yeah, no, it's definitely like, wrestling's crazy right now. Like the thing I love about wrestling is like anything can happen. And
yeah, we're really in that time now.
And the more wrestling there is, the better. And so, you know, I love that she has an opportunity to still do what she loves and be so creative and do her thing. And, you know, I'm waiting if she wants it. Mariah is money.
Oh, all right. That's the shot we wanted to hear. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up with this then. Is there anything you'd like to tell your fans worldwide as we wrap this up? Because it's not difficult to see the support online. Everyone's tweeting Club Venus, Mariah May. The excitement is there after just 1 month. That's the crazy part. It's only been a month. You guys have a lot of matches. There's been a lot of matches, so it feels longer, but it's only been a month. So as you head into your first singles match, first match with cheering in Japan, what can you say to everyone as we get excited for the next chapter here? Yeah, the opening chapter with Triangle Derby. Now it's everything else that's so exciting. Yes.
Oh wow. I mean, just thank you. Like you said, the support has been overwhelming, and I feel like honestly throughout, because I literally just got started and lockdown happened. And I just worked so hard to create content to try and keep people like, please don't, like, I won't let you down. Just please stay. It's going to be fun. I'm going to make it, guys. And I just feel like throughout, literally since I started wrestling, and all the ups and downs, and there's been a lot of downs more than ups. And like, they've just been pushing for Mariah, like Mariah May, the glamour, watch her, watch this, tagging me in like everything, like sharing all of my stuff. And then when I debuted in Stardom, I literally remember my phone wouldn't even load when I got home. And like, oh, it makes me even emotional thinking about it, because there's like so many fans who I've seen their names so many times. I know of them, and like they were so happy that I was happy. And like that just meant so much to me, because I feel like they've seen, and I've been so like, I've shared my training, gym, I share all of it. And like it was like for all of us, like I didn't just make it to Japan, like we all made it. And then also I got to see like a lot of new people, like, oh hey, like I wonder what Mariah's about, like, oh, I just checked out this match, and you know, as I'm having each match, like people being like, oh, this is, you know, I'm excited to see her. So just thanks for giving me a chance, thanks for watching, and the best is definitely yet to come, because I'm just getting started.
That's what we love to hear. Before we end this, I'll give you a chance to tell everyone where to find you. You know, we talked about your Twitter plenty, but I know you do a lot more than that.
Yeah, I have like every social media. I'm trying to keep up with the kids. You know, I'm 24, but I've never felt so
I'm
old.
also 24, so I understand.
Right? But like, what, TikTok? What's going on? Like,
oh, I don't. Nope. Some job descriptions now say TikTok. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I saw people plugging when they were talking about Twitter maybe shutting down. People were like plugging this new thing. I was like, I'm not doing it. I know I'm supposed to be on trend, but I'm not doing it. But my username is Mariah May X. I am on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, you name it. I'm on it. Mariah May X.
Fantastic. Well, if everyone wants to check out the Stardom pay-per-view, the 12th anniversary commemoration Stardom Supreme Fight 2023, I remembered it all. I've said it like 100 times already. Make sure to check out the Twitter accounts at we_r_stardom. That's the English account. That's where the pay-per-view link will be. You can also check out their normal Japanese account at WWR_stardom as well. Yeah. It's not a show you want to miss. I'll tell everyone that.
It's going to be really, really good. Like, obviously, I'm a little bit biased. So I'm looking forward to my match, but the whole card is it's good.
Yeah, just to give everyone a quick preview, you got Julia versus Suzuki. You know, if you paid attention to that story last year, that's one to watch. Saya Kamitani, Momo Watanabe in a record type match. You know, this history on the line. Chihiro Hashimoto coming into Stardom to face Mariah. Of course, the roulette that Mariah is, of course, taking place in. That is a very confusing one, but it's going to be a lot of fun. That's the enjoyment of it, and so many other matches. So make sure to check that out. For Mariah May, I'm Scott Edwards. We'll see you next time here on the Fightful YouTube page.
Bye.